Hello again, everybody. My name is Mike Petralia. It's episode 220 of Patriots Beat on the CLNS Media Network. You can find us at www.clnsmedia.com. Follow us on Twitter at CLNS Media and on Facebook at facebook.com/CLNS Media. You can, of course, follow me on Twitter at Trags, TRAGS. It's my pleasure to welcome to Patriots podcast this week Mark Daniels, an outstanding beat writer for the Patriots for the Providence Journal. Mark has been covering sports in New England since 2007. As you say on your Twitter homepage, Mark, I like the fact that you say that you have cockily reported the Patriots and news since 2007. Welcome to the show.
Thanks, Trag. Yeah, so someone actually accused me of cockily reporting news, and I said, you know what, that has to be my new motto. So I'm going with it.
That works perfectly for your ID under the avatar. I do like it. So we can follow Mark Daniels, by the way, at Mark Daniels PJ. That's Mark, of course, with a K, M-A-R-K, Daniels PJ. Let's get right to it, Mark. A lot of news this week regarding the Patriots as they get ready for the Denver Broncos, and a team that I think they should handle, quite frankly, in Denver. But the injuries continue to pile up. The Patriots thought they were going to get Shea McClellin back off injured reserve, and lo and behold, he suffers a concussion sometime between the time that the Patriots last played their bye week and now, and he not only goes back on injured reserve and is done for the year, the Patriots lose one of their two eligible to return off IR spots, and they have to go out and sign Ricky Jean-Francois. He played a couple of games this year, 6 games with the Green Bay Packers. What do you make of all of this?
Yeah, it's sort of a mess for the Patriots right now. You know, as we all know, that the trade deadline, came and went without them adding any defensive help. And I think part of their reasoning, honestly, was that Shea McClellin was going to come back.
Right.
That's the reason why they brought him back. That's the reason why he was practicing. I mean, really, from what I understood too, the Patriots are actually waiting to place Dont'a Hightower on the injured reserve in order to just bring McClellin back, because that way they wouldn't have had to cut anyone when McClellin came back. So it kind of made sense. Wait a couple weeks, put Hightower on the IR, you bring Shea McClellin back, and all of a sudden you have a guy who, you know what, he might actually be your second best linebacker now behind Kyle Van Noy. And it really, you kind of view it as, or would have viewed it as a mid-season type pickup, almost similar to Dion Lewis last year when they got him back for the second half of the season. Now all of a sudden, there's no Shea McClellin. He's gone. You lose one of those IR to return spots, and you're rolling now with Kyle Van Noy, Elandon Roberts, David Harris, Marquise Flowers, and Trevor Riley. It's not an ideal situation, and I think that's kind of a continued theme through this season, because it hasn't been ideal, right? You say offensively, you don't really want to lose. Obviously, you can't lose Tom Brady, but aside from him, who's the next guy? It's, Julian Edelman. Bam, he goes down. Then defensively, who can't you lose defensively? Well, it's Dont'a Hightower, and just the hits keep on coming.
Well, I mean, look, the Patriots do this better than anybody else. They play to the system, not to their stars. And what I mean by that is, they certainly have a lot of great players, but they're players that they do have in reserve, the depth on their roster, Mark, and you and I have known this for over the last several years. It's quality depth, and they understand what their role is in the system. That's why it works, and that's why I think they're able to, absorb so many of these losses. And that's why it's dangerous to ask, is there a particular tipping point? It just doesn't seem like the Patriots, obviously barring Tom Brady going down, they never seem to really get to that tipping point. I'm just wondering, with the losses on the edge, if they are approaching that tipping point.
Every time I think they are, they prove me wrong. I mean, you flash back to 2015 when over a dozen players were on the injured reserve. Gronk was banged up. Edelman, broke his foot, came back, re-injured his foot. Nate Solder was out. Pats lost both the running backs, LeGarrette Blount and Dion Lewis. I mean, the Patriots were so banged up in 2015, it was ridiculous. But even so, they were a 2-point conversion away from going into overtime with the Denver Broncos, the eventual Super Bowl champions in the AFC Championship. So you saw right there when you simply have Bill Belichick and Tom Brady, good things usually happen, good things usually follow. So this season, it's you look around the NFL and you say, yeah, the Eagles look great, but aside from them, everyone kind of has some issues, right? The Steelers always have some ups and downs, and the Broncos and the Raiders, who we thought would be killers, are not killers. So all of a sudden, even though the Patriots, their talent level sort of keeps going down due to injury, you still have Belichick, you still have Tom Brady, you still have Rob Gronkowski, Brandon Cooks, and defensively, you get Stephon Gilmore back, you have Butler, McCourty, Chung, and Trey Flowers. So it's really crazy to say this, but even after losing Hightower and Edelman, and you're not getting help with McClellin, you still expect him to be there in January, come the AFC Championship, right? It's almost like
right.
there's no doubt just because of what's transpired here in the last 18 years.
Well, I got to tell you, Mark, and another player, you wrote about him today that is going to be critical now in the Patriots' defensive scheme is Deatrich Wise. He's a fourth-round rookie, and I think certainly he has the kind of confidence that you're looking for from a rookie player. You don't want him to, overstep his bounds, and I don't think in the Patriots locker room there's ever any threat of that happening. But you do like what he told you, and that is, and you wrote about this, I don't believe in the rookie wall or anything like that. Give me your takeaway, what you wrote about Deatrich Wise.
I got to be honest, I love that kid. He was awesome. He has a great head on his shoulders. But yeah, he told me he didn't believe in the rookie wall and said that even when he played college football and after their 12-game seasons, he was never tired. He never needed a break. Keep himself in good condition. And he thinks that's important because, as he said, he's happy with the first half of the season, 3 sacks, tied with the team lead with quarterback hits with Trey Flowers, but he knows there's stuff he needs to improve upon. That's what he's doing right now. I mean, he's focused on being better against the run, getting off his blocks quicker, getting to the quarterback more, and he's just so focused on what he needs to do to be a better player. It's really cool to hear and see from a rookie. I mean, he doesn't act like a rookie, honestly. From some of the guys, we meet down there, he kind of seems like mentally maybe he has it figured out. And you're right. I mean, he's that long type defensive end that you don't have because you don't have Chandler Jones, and he creates kind of a cool opposite with Trey Flowers, a shorter defensive end who relies more on power. And if you can get Deatrich Wise going here in the second half of the season, that's going to be huge because right now, the Pats, I believe they're tied for 23rd in the NFL in total sacks, and that's not where you want to be. You want to give the secondary more help. You need more pressure on the quarterback. And you're right, it starts with guys like Deatrich Wise and Trey Flowers.
Yeah, what concerns me though, and I don't know how much, and you can certainly chime in here, how much you think Ricky Jean-Francois, a 30-year-old, can contribute midway through the season, but the concern I have is they've got to play the Buffalo Bills twice, and I know they lost that horrific game in New York to the Jets on Thursday Night Football, but I still think that the Bills could present some serious problems to the Patriots. You still have the Raiders in Mexico City, you have the Steelers, and you have the Dolphins twice. I mean, what are your expectations as we get the second half of the season kicked off?
Yeah, I agree with you. It's crazy because I originally thought that Denver-Oakland swing would be the toughest part of the schedule, but all of a sudden, you look at the week 13, 14, 15, on the road, Buffalo, Miami, and Pittsburgh, I think that's the hardest stretch right now, the second half. And I agree. I think the matchup with the Bills in week 13 away is probably their toughest game right now. You look at Tyrod Taylor, and that's actually the biggest worry. I mean, the Patriots they had trouble containing Josh McCown of the Jets. He's 38. I mean, even Matt Ryan ran for a first down. We saw what Deshaun Watson did. We saw what issues they had with Cam Newton. And then all of a sudden, Tyrod Taylor is that mobile quarterback. I mean, he's a lot faster than Josh McCown. So the Pats haven't been good against those type of quarterbacks this season. And, yeah, I mean, Buffalo, it seems like these AFC teams, AFC East teams, they always give them trouble, right? It's like every year they have that weird loss somewhere, whether it be, in Miami or, they have
Right.
those close games against the Jets. But yeah, Buffalo, that's definitely what sticks out to me. But Week 15 at Pittsburgh, I think that's going to tell us a lot. That's 2 weeks before the playoffs starts. We're going to find out if this defense has some of those, communication problems truly fixed, because Ben Roethlisberger, although he started off poorly, he is still one of the better quarterbacks in the NFL.
Talking with Mark Daniels, Patriots beat reporter for the Providence Journal. I want to tell you about a new product that I've run across. It's Harry's Razors. I love the product. I swear by the product. One of the things I like about Harry's the most are their incredible quality of their blades. Really amazing blades. And not only that, but they give you a special plastic cover to protect them and make them last longer. Harry's is so confident you're going to love their blades that they'll give you their trial shave set for free when you sign up at harrys.com/patriots. Just pay for the shipping. Why Harry's? Harry's is all about a great shave at a fair price, which is why over 3 million guys have switched to Harry's. Jeff and Andy, just two ordinary guys who were fed up with buying overpriced razors, started Harry's to fix shaving. They bought their own German factory with over 100 years of blade making experience to ensure the highest quality. All products are backed by a 100% quality guarantee. Harry's offers their blades at half the price of the leading 5-blade razor selling directly to you over the internet. Claim your free trial offer from Harry's today. That's a $13 value for free when you sign up. Just cover the shipping. Your free trial set includes a weighted ergonomic razor handle, 5 precision-engineered blades with a lubricating strip and trimmer blade, rich lathering shave gel, and what I mentioned at the top, a great travel blade cover to protect those great blades. To get your free trial set, go to harrys.com/patriots right now. That's harrys.com/patriots. Speaking with Mark Daniels, outstanding beat reporter for the Patriots for the Providence Journal. I want to turn the focus now to the offense, Mark, and I think as an area that certainly the Patriots have underperformed this year so far anyway. They've been kind of disappointing in the red zone. They're actually converting just exactly half of their red zone opportunities into touchdowns, and that puts them tied for 19th, I believe it is, in the National Football League, nowhere near where everybody thought they would be coming into the season in a critical offensive category. I know this week in the conference calls with the coordinators, red zone, and Josh McDaniels was asked about it. He took a little bit of the fall for the bad spacing in the red zone. I want to get your take on what it's going to take for this red zone to start clicking with Tom Brady.
Yeah, that's a great point. I mean, in the last 3 games, they've converted only 41% of those opportunities into touchdown, which is very unpatriot-like. And I think the problems they've had have been, it's not one thing you can say, but for example, the last time they played against the Chargers, what was happening when they were getting inside the 25, they weren't running the ball efficiently on first down. There were multiple times when it was either Deion Lewis, James White, or Mike Gillisley, or I think actually one was Rex Burkhead. They're only gaining 1-2 yards. So all of a sudden you're in second and long. That 2nd and 8, 2nd and 9 situation, and for whatever reason the Pats couldn't get out of it. Part of it also was the offensive line play, and these 2nd and longs come up and they turn into, whether it be 3rd and 6, 3rd and 8. You don't have time to throw the ball. You're not going to convert, and you're going to be forced to kick a field goal. So in order for the Pats to turn these things into touchdown, 1, Tom Brady needs more than 2.1 seconds to throw. But 2, if you are going to run the ball on first down, you have to be more efficient. You have to gain 4 yards, and they weren't doing that when they needed. But you're right. It's been uncharacteristic. It's been unpatriot-like, and it's been a struggle. It's been sort of shocking to see too, because the first 4 games of the season they're averaging 32 points per game, and all of a sudden, the last 4, it's really been the defense that's led the way. So I mean, I would imagine when you have Tom Brady and all these guys that it's going to be figured out, but if it's not, that is sort of an issue that you need to correct.
Well, and you were on that conference call, and you heard McDaniels talk about, the spacing, and the one thing that we've seen that we haven't seen in years past is, and I don't know if this is because Julian Edelman is out, gone for the year, and not part of the red zone equation, but guys running in not into each other per se, but certainly running too close together, winding up too close together at the end of their routes in the red zone. And, a couple of times this year, or last couple of weeks anyway, you don't know who Tom Brady's actually throwing to in the red zone, and you never used to say that.
Yeah, that's a great point, and you're right. A lot of it has to do with Julian Edelman. I mean, when he's been healthy, he's been Tom's favorite target on third down. That hasn't been a secret, but with him out, really your best guy to go vertical over the middle of the field is Danny Amendola. But as we all know with Danny, he is not durable just because of the way he plays, the position he plays, the stature that he is. He's going to get hurt. He has been hurt, so he's not out there a lot. So you lose Danny, really your only slot receiver. You're looking at Brandon Cooks, who's more of a vertical deep threat. He doesn't do great on those, those slants and those comeback routes. You have Gronk, who, again, has durability issues, and he's not the type of guy you want to see over the middle. So that's led to more opportunities for a guy like Chris Hogan. But what happens when he goes over the middle? Well, he's getting beat up pretty bad. He has a shoulder injury. He has rib injury. So, yeah, honestly, I actually think you're right. It starts with Julian Edelman, and I don't know if the Pats offense have really been able to find a rhythm without him this season.
Okay, so with Chris Hogan out at least a couple of weeks, okay, with the shoulder injury that he suffered toward the end of the last game, the Chargers game before the bye, Philip Dorsett is going to step into the fore now, and he's been the hot topic of conversation this week. What can we expect to see from Philip Dorsett, and is it a realistic expectation that maybe he can contribute in the clutch, or is he going to have to?
I mean, he'll definitely be out there more. I think if it was up to Tom Brady, it would not be Philip Dorsett who he wants to throw to in the clutch. I think one of his issues this year has been getting on the same page as Tom. And if you've noticed with some of the balls they haven't been able to connect with, sometimes to me it almost looks like Dorsett doesn't compete like he wanted to. I think there was an interception Tom threw towards him earlier in the season, and I thought my first response to that was it didn't look like Philip Dorsett really went up and tried to get it, and it doesn't look like they've been on the same page. Now, you're right. Belichick even said today that Philip Dorsett, they're giving him more. They're putting more on his plate. And, you've been here for half the season. It's time to go out there and produce somewhat. I don't expect him to catch 6 balls for 100 yards, but if he could just make a little bit more of an impact, whether it even be 2-3 catches, I think that will help. But with Tom, I mean, you're looking at Cooks, Gronk, James White all the way. And you know what? I wouldn't be surprised to see Rex Burke get involved more in the passing game either.
Speaking with Mark Daniels, Patriots beat reporter for the Providence Journal. Fantasy football fans, listen up. If you love fantasy football, then you need to try my new favorite app, Draft. It's weekly fantasy football, but not like the other guys. On Draft, you play real-life snake drafts with other people, just like in your season-long league. Here's how it works. It's a draft that lasts for just 1 week, and there's no management. Just set it and forget it. Once you're done drafting, that's it. No trades, no waiver wire. Draft even takes care of the last-minute injuries for you. Draft starts every couple of minutes, so you can join one right now. And the best part, play for cold hard cash. Drafts start from just $1, so there's a draft for everyone. There's no salary caps. Play in a real live snake draft just like you play with your friends in a season-long league. So come and join me today on Draft. Download the app at any time. Just search Draft in your app store and join in a game in only minutes. Or play right from your computer on playdraft.com, whatever you want. For a limited time only, all new players get a free entry into a draft when you make your first deposit, but you have to use my promo code PATSBEAT. That's right, play a real money game for free just for using my promo code PATSBEAT on your first deposit on Draft. Just search Draft in the App Store or go to playdraft.com and play for free with promo code PATSBEAT. Again, talking with Mark Daniels, outstanding beat reporter covering the Patriots for the Providence Journal. So, on Brian Hoyer, Mark, I wanted to really ask Bill on Monday, and I think you heard me ask him about what they can realistically expect from Hoyer, how he's going to get it up to speed. What I really wanted to ask him was, so when you're up 40 at the start of the fourth quarter this week in Denver and Tom's out of the game, what will you be looking for from Brian Hoyer? What are you looking for Brian Hoyer, Mark, in terms of him getting back into the swing of things here in New England?
Well, with him, it all starts with the scout team and giving your starting defense a look every single week. And this in a way worked out for the Pats, where you get a guy who's already done that. He did it for 3 seasons under Brady and Belichick. He knows what to expect. Now, he didn't really work with McDaniels all that much because McDaniels was here sort of late in the 2011 season.
Right.
So he only was with Josh for 1 year, but still the offensive system around Tom Brady hasn't changed, regardless if it's Weiss, O'Brien, or McDaniels. So I think that experience will certainly help, because his impact won't be seen in the stat sheet. It'll be seen by the defense, hopefully giving them the right looks. Now, if he does get on the field, hopefully it is in a blowout, like you said, and if it's not, you just hope this guy doesn't screw up, right? You hope he doesn't mess up, because although I like Brian Hoyer, but when he has played a lot, it seems like you can always count on him for those 1 or 2 interceptions at inopportune times. So that's certainly a worry, and hopefully it's it's in practice where he throws the ball the most.
Well, I mean, and we laugh, okay, but he's played in playoff games. If I remember correctly, he was the one who started that shutout loss to the Kansas City Chiefs, correct?
You're right, yeah.
And so he's been in some big game situations on his own with the Texans. Not many big game situations, obviously, with San Francisco, but he has been around the league. He's been exposed to a lot, and God forbid if Brady were to go down, let's just say even for a week, he is somebody you would expect at his age to be able to come in, step in, and assume the reins and do a credible job. That's really all you're looking for.
Mm-hmm. Right, and I kind of think back to the times that backup quarterbacks have played here, and people automatically go to Matt Castle and what he did, and of course, in a way, you were playing with a team that went undefeated the season before, but even last year, they did beat the Texans with Jacoby Brissett, and they had to alter their game plan, they had to run the ball a lot, but they were able to do that. I mean, with Jimmy Garoppolo, who is in my opinion an above average quarterback, they won 2 games with him, and they went on the road as underdogs to Arizona. So yeah, if Brian Hoyer does play for the Pats, in the event he does, the Patriots are still going to win games because they're the Patriots, and it's Bill Belichick scheming. It's interesting though. You're right, man. This has certainly been an interesting season, and this storyline has been kind of a wild one, shocking one, if you ask me.
All right, you were on the conference call on Tuesday, and you asked Bill about the Broncos defense. Granted, they were blown out 51-23 at Philadelphia, but it wasn't all the defense. There was a lot of garbage time scoring and whatnot. But this Denver defense is still among the very best, and certainly among the most star-studded in the National Football League. Obviously start with Von Miller. He is an MVP type of player still for the Broncos, an NFL defensive player of the year type of talent still on the Broncos, doing a great job. You have Brandon Marshall, you have Derek Wolfe, and then you have the secondary, which I know you focused on, Chris Harris Jr. and obviously Aqib Talib, and then Bill reminded us of Bradley Roby is back there. This defense, your take on whether or not they can make it a game on Sunday night?
Theoretically they should be able to, because they have so many good players. It's actually been surprising that they've been sort of bad this year. Obviously last weekend allowing 51 points is never good, but I was looking at them today, and it's almost surprising to me that, looking over the sack leaders, and they're tied for only 16th in the NFL, and you look over their roster, and it's, Von Miller is a monster. He has 8 sacks this season, but then the next guy below him was Shaq Barrett with 3. In fact, what's his name? Shane Ray doesn't have any sacks yet. That was sort of shocking, and I think for whatever reason, some of those veteran players are underperforming. I guess Aqib Talib is getting a little older, but you expect for him to be able to play like a shutdown corner. I mean, Chris Harris Jr. is in the prime of his career, and he only has 1 interception this season. He doesn't even have as many pass deflections as Bradley Roby, so they should be able to, and I would imagine with them getting embarrassed against Eagles that they'll have, that chip on their shoulder, as we all like to say, that extra motivation. I would expect a good game because it's the Broncos. It just, that hasn't been happening for whatever reason this year, and I'd expect a lot of that too is based on the offense. And I wouldn't be surprised if those guys in defense are just frustrated by what's been transpiring there.
Well, I mean, and I wrote about this today that, when you talk about the quarterback situation in Denver, it's pretty much a dumpster fire. And I didn't think so at the beginning of the year, when they started Trevor Siemian and they come out with wins against the Chargers, and then they hammered the Dallas Cowboys, and everybody, their eyebrows were raised because, wow, Trevor Siemian looks like the real deal. And then they just fell off a cliff, and I'm at a loss to understand why a guy like that goes from being so good to so bad with weapons like Demaryius Thomas, Emmanuel Sanders, and a running game, Mark, that is averaging 4.3 yards per carry with guys like C.J. Anderson, Jamal Charles, and Devontae Booker.
You're right. Their run game has been pretty bad. Actually, as someone who owns C.J. Anderson in fantasy, I certainly understand that. But yeah, they have three running backs: C.J. Anderson, Jamal Charles, and Devontae Booker. And for whatever reason, no one's really been able to take the lead. And really, I think that's always been important for the Broncos. It was important when they had Peyton Manning. It was important last year. They need to run the ball in order to have success because they don't really have that marquee quarterback. So you need to establish the run. So they haven't been able to do that. And then, yeah, Brock Osweiler, at the end of the day, just wasn't getting it. I mean, Trevor Siemian wasn't getting it done. 9 touchdowns, 10 interceptions, and it's almost surprising to me just because, like you said, Demaryius Thomas and Emmanuel Sanders, they're good targets. So I think as a lot of teams find out in the NFL, if you don't have the right quarterback, you're going to have problems, and it seems like this has been a recipe for disaster in Denver.
But don't you think, Mark, averaging 4.2 yards every time you run the ball, those are good numbers. I mean, and their three feature backs are all above 4 yards. 4.2 for C.J. Anderson, 4.4 for Charles, and Devontae Booker's at 4.6. And they've all, been in the end zone one time each. But you should, with those kind of numbers, I would think that, and they have no huge runs that would throw those averages way off, like a 75-yard run or a 90-yard run. They don't have any of those figures. It just seems like to me maybe Mike McCoy isn't giving the ball to the running backs enough or in the right situation.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point because at the end of the day, I think they're like over the last 3 games they're averaging just under 100 yards. They're averaging 93 yards per game on the ground, which, like you said, when you have 3 talented backs and you have a bad quarterback, that shouldn't be the case. I mean, they should be pounding the ball and trying to grind out some wins and letting their defense rest a little bit, and that really hasn't been the case. And for whatever reason, I mean, I honestly thought C.J. Anderson was one of the better running backs in the NFL. I mean, it wasn't too long ago that people viewed him as kind of an up and comer, and all of a sudden he's in his 5th season and he rushed for 13 yards last week against Eagles, averaged 1.4 yards per carry, and it's sort of amazing how I think little things start to go wrong here or there, and we see this with sports teams in general. That the wheels start to fall off, and you start to have problems everywhere. Your secondary, which is star-studded, has issues. Your pass rush, star-studded, they have issues, and all of a sudden you have 3 good running backs, and you're not averaging 100 rush yards per game. It's like, what's going on? I guess in a sense, it's a good time for the Patriots to be going to Denver.
I think so too, and I know that a lot of people are tweeting at me on Twitter that this is where the Patriots are primed to be beaten. They're beaten up coming off their bye week. They'll be sluggish. They're not getting Shea McClellin back. They have their own issues, on defense, and the Patriots, are going to be there without Chris Hogan. That's another big concern for a lot of people who think that the Patriots are going to go in there and struggle and lose the game. I just don't see it that way because I think Belichick knows exactly what Mike McCoy is going to do. He is going to I think Belichick's going to take away the run game like they did last year and, make it a rock fight. And Denver wasn't able to move the ball at all. And as you know, the Patriots went there and won 16-3. That's kind of the game I see unfolding again this week.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think if you can try to make this a shootout, it's going to be tough for Brock Osweiler to keep up with you, right? The worst thing that can happen for the Patriots is one of those slow, grinded out games where first team to 20 wins. You don't want that to happen in Denver when you have a struggling offense. You want to make them try to score. You want to push the pace. I'm not entirely sure Brock Osweiler can do that, but yeah, I think it's setting up nicely for the Patriots to win off the bye on the road. And I think, wins like this, even though Denver hasn't been playing well, it's a momentum builder. These guys, especially the veterans, know how difficult it is to win in Denver. So when you do, it creates momentum. For example, last year, I remember Logan Ryan in Denver was very passionate after they beat the Broncos, and he said that was the first time the Pats beat the Broncos since he was, on the team for 4 years, and it was such a goal. It was a big goal for the team. That's what they wanted. That was one of the things they marked down. They wanted to beat the Broncos in Denver, and when they did, it just created positive momentum, and it ran all the way to the Super Bowl.
You bringing your skis to Colorado and staying the week with the team?
You know what? No, I'm not. I have a baby here at home, so I'll be coming back home to play dad before I go back to Mexico City and have some fun out there.
Wow. So how are those logistics going to work? Are you going to leave for Mexico City on the Friday? Or
I'm not. I'm actually going to leave Saturday morning early, 8 a.m. I have a layover, and I'll get to Mexico City by 3 in the afternoon. And
well, that's not bad.
Try to enjoy a little bit and get dinner, and then see the Pats take on the Raiders.
Yeah, that I'm fascinated to see how the Patriots do. Coming on, obviously they stay in Colorado because they're going to be getting used to altitude in Mexico City, which is even higher altitude than Mile High in Denver. So, certainly I understand that. But it'll be interesting the next couple of weeks to see how the Patriots adjust. And, a lot of players have already said on the record that this is a great way for the team to bond and come together. And I think it's going to go okay for the Patriots, but I do think that, I don't want to say this week's a must-win, but it would certainly give you a different feel about this team going into Mexico City if they take care of business in Denver.
Yeah, absolutely. And remember that the next 6 weeks, 5 of those games are on the road. So you certainly want to start off strong here just to get going. I mean, the Pats have, they're 6-2, right, going into week 10. I'd expect them to honestly lose, 1 or 2 more games, and it'll probably happen in this stretch, whether they, lose to Buffalo or they lose to Miami. But, at the end of the day, they just need to put themselves in position to get one of those top seeds. And, with the way the NFL is shaping out, with the Chiefs losing all of a sudden, and, the Pats are right there in the thick of it. So, they keep losing these players, but as long as they keep winning and get that number 1 seed, it'll be, back to business as usual.
All right, Mark, once again, how can people follow you social and on the web?
Yeah, you guys can follow me at Mark Daniels PJ on Twitter. I believe I'm also Mark Daniels PJ on Instagram, but I'm not that entertaining. But if you want to follow me, go ahead. I got some good binocular photos up there.
And follow you online and read your stories at theprojo.com, correct?
Yep, providencejournal.com. All my stuff will be there.
Outstanding. I appreciate you taking time. Stay with CLNS all day on game day, starting with the CLNS Media New England Patriots pregame show with Alex Barth a half hour before every game. Then you can catch the postgame show with Marvin Ezon and Mike Molyneux live after every single game on clnsmedia.com. Subscribe to both on iTunes and Stitcher and YouTube now. Also, get daily team updates on the Patriots Newsfeed podcast with Tyler Trudeau, which is also available on the CLNS Media New England Patriots postgame show feed, available once again on iTunes, Stitcher, YouTube, and the CLNS Media mobile app. Thanks again for downloading today's Patriots Beat. Want to once again thank our guest, Mark Daniels from the Providence Journal. You can follow him on Twitter at MarkDanielsPJ. You can also give us a follow at Patriots_beat and at CLNS Media. Of course, give my own personal account a follow at Trags. Today's sponsors were Harry's Razors and Draft. For Patriots content manager Mike Alongi, CLNS Media executive producer Larry H. Russell, the founder of the network Nick Gelso, Thanks to everyone who tuned in. This is Mike Petralia, and this is the Patriots Beat podcast powered by CLNS Media.
What's going on, Past Nation? This is Marvin Zahn of the CLNS Media Network, and I'm here to tell you right now to check out the CLNS Media New England Patriots postgame show hosted by myself and my co-host, Mr. Mike Nice. And live on CLNS Radio immediately after every single Pats game. Call in at 929-477-2386 toll-free to get your voice heard and contribute to the host breakdown and analysis of the latest Patriots contest. We also got the stars and sorries of the day, Twitter posts for the plays of the game, and everything else that is going on with the 5-time Super Bowl champions. Subscribe to CLNS Media New England Patriots postgame show on iTunes and Stitcher, and the best way, download the free CLNS Media Network mobile app for on-demand listening anytime, any place, anywhere.